Happy Friday. Welcome to Inside the Program presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. We're doing it live today. I'm Joe Cook. That's Eric Naleen. Thank you for watching. Make sure you do like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you have some questions, put them in the chat. We'll get to them towards the end of the show. Going to go over just all the different positions that Texas has seen exports, seen imports, and go over how we feel they did throughout this portal cycle that ends tonight-ish. At midnight. Still got a couple business days to wait on. But for the most part, aside from, whatever Texas feels they have left to do, Texas has done a lot in the portal. So, but before we get there, got to make sure we tell everybody, go to InsideTexas.com. Use that first link in our description. Sign up for 50% off annual subscription prices. That'll get you all the way through what's looking like a potential playoff run next year, a deep playoff run with the way Texas has been treating this transfer portal cycle. So go join Inside Texas. You can also use the QR code there in the top left of your screen. Scan that. That'll get you to the sign up link. Looking forward to seeing everybody over there. And Eric, it's just one of those things where we're digging for every little bit, but at the same time, like you're almost at the end of the mine, and you don't know if the diamonds are across or if it's time to start walking back. But Texas has done a lot in this portal window, and we're trying to track every bit of it, even as it feels like things are slowing down.
Yeah, so far so good. But, somebody asked for a grade last night. I said, I need to see what happens at guard before I assign any overall grade. I mean, I've been pretty steadfast in support of their process. Their approach, I think, has been sound. Obviously, they've been quite aggressive. They've been willing to spend a little bit more than they have been in the past. It's landed some big hits, with running backs. Cam Coleman, obviously. The tackle yesterday, I think, was massive. But, you got to improve the entire roster. It's not just a couple of positions. They're trying to win a national championship. Last year, the biggest hole on the team was left guard. And miraculously, we are still wondering who would be the left guard going into next season, which I don't know how that's even possible. But here we are. We'll wait and see. I know they got a couple irons in the fire. We thought there would be a visitor yesterday. The visitor was in pretty good contact with us. It didn't manifest. And so I wonder why that visit didn't happen. What do they have up their sleeve? So we're still trying to figure that one out. To answer this question from my man, Derek, where did I get this hat? You know where I got this hat. I got this hat at Academy, dude. Yeah, just Academy's got everything you need. Now, it depends on where you live. Now, Academy, where I live, tends to have more A&M stuff, which is a problem. This hat was bought in Academy in Austin, so much better selection there.
We did the 290 trip, and there's a new Academy in Brenham too. So,
really, man, Brenham has come up
right before you get to the HEB Plus and everything there, right by 36.
We've got two questions on Nick Brooks already. What's going on here?
Let's get to Sugar Poppies. Does it hurt that we let Nick Brooks walk and didn't get Seton anyways? I think that's separate conversations, but you let Nick Brooks walk, and then you got Jonte Newman right away, and that's where that addition comes in.
I'm not worried about Nick Brooks. It's a bummer because you are looking towards 2027 as well. You can't just mail in 20. They're going to play football after next year. I know everybody's bought in on 2026. I certainly am. But this time next year, hopefully Texas get for a national championship game. But this time next year, we're going to be looking towards 2027 with the same fervor that we are right now. So you can't just mail in 2027. Brooks would have been a player going forward down the line, but not really for 2026. Jonte Newman, as Joe says, kind of fits that mold. I'm still trying to do a little more homework on Jonte, see why I left A&M, what their thought of him was. But Seton is, they've got 3 tackles for next year. They've got Gooseby, obviously. They got Siani now, and they got Baker, who can play tackle and maybe even a 4th tackle. So I'm not worried about it. Nick Brown is a 2027 problem. Seton is not really relevant after they got Siani. It would have been nice, I guess, but then you would have had Siani on the bench. So that doesn't make sense.
And then this one, we kind of talked about the second question. Is he in the portal? Yes, on last check, he is in the portal. Probably going to be an SEC guy. I know he's from Iowa, but he played at Grayson. But we'll see. He'll probably find a home in the SEC. Considering
I've heard Alabama for him, and he was asking for a pretty penny. So I don't know. I wouldn't really worry about Nick Brooks. They've got time to figure. I mean, Siani is a 2-year tackle. You got Brandon Baker as a tackle. So if you're looking at 2027, you might already be set at 2027 tackles. Now Brooks could theoretically play guard. Man, Brooks had a long way to go. Brooks had a long way to go on the field. Brooks had some maturing to do off the field. It's a bummer because he's talented, but yeah, I don't know.
He was thrown in too early, and if you think about it, you could envision Jonte Newman kind of doing the same thing, being thrown in too early, not succeeding. It's just that he started at A&M. You can envision that similar player doing something at the Swamp, in Red River, at Mississippi State, that type of thing. What we're going to do is we're going to let questions build up. So if you have any questions, throw them in the chat. We'll save them for a little bit later. But we want to go through position by position, what Texas did in the portal, kind of give it a, maybe not a grade, maybe not a binary thumbs up, thumbs down, but just assess what's happened and what is left to go. Quarterback, this one won't take that long. Trey Owens enters the portal, had dropped to fourth string behind Arch, Matthew Caldwell, KJ Lacey, enters the portal. Quarterbacks want to play, finds an opportunity at Arkansas State because I think a talented player they had, and that's Butch Jones, Butch Jones, still up in Jonesboro. It's going to be a good opportunity for Trey Owens as he probably tries to get a bounce back up to the Power 5 level or Power 4 level with one good season.
Yeah, I don't know much about Arkansas State's offense. I wish him all the luck in the world. Just wasn't a good fit.
And then as far as what they're looking for, another Matthew Caldwell, if they can find it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go into next year with 3 quarterbacks. That's not the way it works. You got to have 4 quarterbacks, and also, Diabell missed his senior year. He's going to be knocking off a lot of rust this spring. How ready will he be to even be an emergency quarterback? I'm not sure. Yeah, they need to bring in a clipboard holder. There's a million guys in the portal. They'll find somebody that just kind of is a warm body, maybe a future GA, something like that. I'm not quarterback. We've already spent too much time on quarterback.
Let's go to running back then. You bring in Rayleigh Brown, 1,000-yard rusher. You bring in Hollywood Smothers, 900-yard rusher, and those are a top 2. You do lose Christian Clark. You lose Trey Wisner, CJ Baxter, and then you also lose Ricky Stewart as well. That room is being reshaped, but you get a top 2, and you also have James Simon coming back. You also have Derek Cooper coming in. Maybe you look for another throughout this grad transfer period, but you get your top running backs and you fix that top end talent that you were looking for.
Yeah, big upgrade here. Game breaking upgrade, playmaking upgrade. Just a lot more explosive. A better tackle breaking with Hollywood. It's just they're in a much better spot at running backs. Not even close. Yeah, they'll use James Simon next year. Derek Cooper's going to play a lot, but the top 2 is very good, much more explosive. And probably only a little bit more expensive than it was last year. So that was a running back is an obvious win. Let me get this question real quick from Drew M. Any grad transfers Texas is targeting? So Texas is just now starting to look at not just now. They've got people that are looking and scouting it the whole time, but they were much more concerned with this portal window affecting the top 30 guys. You guys that are going to play a lot, guys that are going to start. The most important pieces. People that are in the portal still right now are going to be highly fungible, meaning that you get one, okay. If you don't, go find somebody else. They're not difference makers for the most part. Now, there are going to be some gems in there. There's probably even some future NFL players in there just because that's the way the law of averages work. But they're more focused on, what they're not going to be able to find going forward. And so, now they'll start looking at grad transfers, whoever else in the portal, they'll fill out the roster that way.
It's the game is different. You have to create a top end of the roster, and you can't have dead money sitting on the bench. So it's a lot of different things at play there. Tight end, this won't take long. Jordan Washington, think he's on the way to North Carolina. They bring in Michael Masunis. They play the same role, and you probably got a bigger upgrade for that blocking tight end in line Y.
It's just the fit. They're not the same player. I think Texas gets an A here, right? And people are like, well, he's not a big name tight end. Who cares if he's the big name tight end? He's the exact fit they needed. They needed a blocking tight end that can help unlock the run game, which did not happen last year in any shape or form. They tried to run 12 personnel last year and it failed. It took Sark a while to figure that out. He loves to run 12 personnel. They get an A for this pickup. I don't care if he's not a big name or not. Now, Jordan Washington, I would love to see him lean up and go back to be more of that flex tight end. You can still do some inline stuff with him. North Carolina, that's actually exciting. I didn't know he was headed there. So
I think that's right.
Washington's a talented guy, but not the exact fit they're looking for. They need a blocker, and they got that with Masunis. I love that pickup. One of my favorite pickups of the portal.
The other thing is you still have Nick Townsend, and although you lose Jack Andrews, would have been nice to have him come back. One of 3 early entrants for Texas, which is kind of a small number compared to what we've seen. You have a very, very bright future in Nick Townsend, and you get to move him off ball. You get to let him be the Jatavian Sanders to maybe what Masunas was or what Gunnar Helm was, and let Masunas fill that role and fill in the nice 12 personnel offense we know Sark
Well,
loves to run.
Townsend's awesome as a blocker too. I don't really think of Jatavian when I think of Nick because Nick in motion is hell. He's a fullback. He's like Kyle Juszczyk for my 49ers. You can do a lot of different things. Yeah, you can flex him out. He's not as smooth of a receiver as Jatavian. Very few have that same change of direction and fluidity that Jatavian had. But Nick is a better straight line athlete and a much more physical player. I love that. And then let's not forget Emery Winston. He's got very good hands, good receiver, very smart. Intelligence at tight end is undervalued. He knows how to find zone coverage and make it pay. And then I think Spencer Shannon with another year off season, I think is going to be a pretty good backup for Masunas. So I like the 2 deep at tight end. Good job by the staff.
Now it's time to go to the one that everybody's been focused on. That is offensive line. Talked about Jonte Newman. Talked about we got to talk about Melvin Siani, which is going to probably prove to be the big name pickup for this portal cycle on the offensive line. And then Dylan Sikorsky comes in, an experienced player from the Pac-12 ranks. They're losing guys like Connor Stroh. They lost a lot of different guys and not very many who played. Brooks, Stroh, not Melvin Hills, Nate Kibble, Daniel Cruz. They've lost a lot of players who were second and third on the depth chart, but they added at least one instant impact guy in Siani. We'll see what happens with Newman and Sikorsky as they compete. And we also still feel like there's room to go, but a lot of good work done by Steve Sarkisian and Kyle Flood on the O-line here in this window.
Well, I mean, I'm certainly not satisfied if this I don't think they're done. First of all, let me preface that. I don't see any way. It doesn't logically follow that they'd be done, knowing that left guard was the biggest hole last year. Somebody up the comments asked if this line is better than last year's. It just depends on what part of last year you're looking at. In the first few weeks, of course, this line is already better than last year at that point. I'm not sure it's better than the line that we saw later in the season once Flood played the most experienced people he had. I'm a bit bummed by Kibble. I think he would have had a chance to start at left guard the way that at least the way the roster currently looks. Sikorsky they like, but maybe more as a developmental guy. I'm not sure he's an impact for next year. Baker, you can get it. You can kind of see the vision with it being Flood. I said on December 11th, I had to go back and look at this comment that I expect more outside zone next year. And that's because I knew that they were going to go get an athletic offensive tackle, which would put Baker at guard, which told me already that it was going to be outside zone. And it also told me that Kyle Flood was likely going to come back because he has such a priority on pass rushing. They often wonder why they can't run downhill, and then they do stuff like this. So I'm curious to see how it all plays out. They definitely need a better guard. They need a true surefire starting guard. I think they've got, there's at least 3 irons in the fire I know about. But so far it's been quiet. And I'd be lying to you if I'd say I wasn't getting a little antsy just because I saw their over-reliance on what they had last year. And that was just, bad process. I think they've got a better process this year, but I'm kind of waiting to see how it all plays out. But, they're going to be upgraded at guard with Siani for Baker. It might be a push between Campbell and Baker. Maybe, we're not sure yet. Left guard, I think, is going to be upgraded just because there's some young, talented guys. Connor Robertson should be better. People are sleeping on Jackson Christian and the Coleman twins a little bit, but I'm not sure what to expect for them next year. And then Gooseby in his senior year is going to be really good. But I think there's still a lot to learn about this group, and hopefully they add somebody that is just an obvious upgrade. That it just makes no sense to not do it. We'll see. I'm not gonna. I'm not going to say some stuff I gotta circle back on if they had somebody before the show's even over.
We're 8 months and 2 weeks away from when they're going to play a game, but
if you either have the parts or you don't have the parts. Well, I don't want to hear about 8 months away. They're not adding anybody in July. They're not adding anybody in.
But what I'm saying is, if you have Gooseby, Mystery Man, Robertson, Baker, Siani as your left to right, and then Smothers and Brown, like you were saying, that's an outside zone team. Like that's
Yeah.
just going to be a team that's going to be moving the picture no matter what Masunas and no matter what Townsend become as blockers. We already expect them to be really strong blockers. Downhill is going to be a struggle, and that's what the arch
Already
running
going to be arch, yeah.
but yeah, the pieces already point toward outside zone, and then that's even before whatever happens along the interior at guard. Before we keep on going and go over to the defense and a super chat, I want to show some love to our sponsor. That is Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Fast one.
Same day delivery powered by DoorDash.
We got this one from our guy Quentin. This will be where we jump off because defenses are predicated on coverage first these days. Thinking maybe we need a cover safety and another cornerback. No, there's Roberson reports out there. We're checking on that. He has never entered the portal. That we do know at Inside Texas. I know Hayes Fawcett reported it, but that he intended to enter the portal. He never actually ended up putting his name in there. So Roberson never entered the portal. That helps at cornerback depth. Safety, Derek Williams came back. We know that's a big piece of everything. Blake Gideon was announced today. A lot of familiarity in that room. Jelani McDonald coming back. Like there was not a whole lot of experience or people who really played that was lost to the portal. And then they go and add Bo Musco, who we know Mark Orfe has a lot of experience with from his time at Rutgers. Like I'm thinking they're pretty good at in the secondary right now, unless they find a best player available who's a safety.
I think Quentin, when he says cover safety, I think he's hoping that Andrew Makuba is going to appear out of thin air. I love what they got at safety. Jelani McDonald and Derek Williams are studs. They have plenty of coverage, plenty of range, plenty of downhill. Good ball skills in the case of McDonald. I'm good with what they have. You got to get Jonah out there. Jonah can play center field. Xavier Filson, he's one of the fastest guys on the team. You gotta think that Muschamp and Gideon are going to help get him up to speed. I think the coaching upgrade in the secondary is going to be pretty obvious. I feel good about what they have in the secondary, and Roberson. Roberson leaving didn't make sense, especially when he left. The market wasn't going to be nearly as robust for him going in as late as he did. That just I threw a flag on that decision.
Jonah playing center field. Where do you like him in the lineup?
Yeah, there you go. But he can do it, and that's I had him in the post a lot this year just because it's easier to protect him there. He doesn't have to not as much on the mental plate playing the post. So they've got all kinds of options in the secondary. I don't know, man. Overall, secondary might be the strength of the team right now, outside of Arch, and I guess wide receiver, however you square a wide receiver. We didn't talk about wide receiver, Joe. Why would you leave out the biggest addition they made the entire portal? This is my thing. I'm always harping on Joe. He buries the lead. What is the marketable aspect of this class? Joe just skips over Cam Coleman entirely.
I'm a trench guy, so I'm not in one skill position. We got to go back to Cam Coleman. DeAndre Moore goes. You lose Jamie French. Valuable players, one who was starting, one who was depth. But you bring in Cam Coleman. That erases all the problems.
You buried the lead again, dude. You buried the lead again. They lost Parker Livingston to OU, which, paying our internet bills for 3 days with the clicks we got off of that madness. It's Cam Coleman. You got Cam Coleman, Ryan Wingo, Emmett Mosley, or Dalen McCutcheon, whichever one wins out there. Who knows? Wide receivers upgraded over last year without a doubt. Wingo's going to have a big year. Coleman's actually going to get quarterback play. I love the idea of Mosley and McCutcheon being interchangeable, just depending on what they want to do. Mosley's a really good blocker. We saw what happened with Jay Witt blocking from the slot. I think Mosley brings some of that, and then Dalen McCutcheon is a more dynamic receiver. Yeah, I love it. And then you can see Kalik Lockett probably as the main backup to both Coleman and Wingo. If Wingo's not doing great down the field, he's just killing people horizontally, you could just insert Kalik, and all of a sudden you get a little bit more vertical ability. So I love what they got on the offensive line. I'm glad we got around to talking about it.
Is there a good comp, whether in a Steve Sarkisian offense or from a former Texas player, for Cam Coleman, or does he kind of stand alone just because of his talent level?
No, I don't remember somebody with that size and ball skills.
I mean, I'm not going to say Julio because Julio's an all-pro, but I mean, that may be the role that he fills in this
Oh, if you're
offense.
talking about NFL comp, that's to me, that's fairly easy. Yeah, you could say Pickens or T. Higgins, somewhere in between, somewhere like those guys. Yeah, NFL comp to me is easy. Texas comp, I don't remember anybody like that. I mean, Lima Swede made one play that reminded me of Cam Coleman against Ohio State, and that's about it. I mean, there's
Yeah.
not a whole lot of Cam Coleman's been walking around on the 40. Roy Williams was an entirely different type of receiver. I'm excited, man, just from the pure entertainment value standpoint of it. I'm really excited. And, I love watching Wingo, and so I think they're both going to help each other out a lot.
Oh yeah, I like this one. I think this is pick AJ Green. That's a good way of looking at
And
what you're
AJ Green was just so explosive out of his routes. I don't know, man. I like T. Higgins or Pickens. Maybe Higgins. Pickens is pretty good after the catch too. We'll see. He's going to have a lot more space to operate. We might see some more yak out of Cam that we haven't seen yet.
And he can do it. Now that we got that out of the way, got the big thing out of the way, linebacker. And that saw a lot of turnover. You saw players, Anthony Hill declare for the draft, Bo Barnes enter the transfer portal, Leonga Lafau. You lose a lot of experience from this year's team, but you go and get two absolute all-stars, one in Rasheem Biles from Pitt, the other in, name is escaping me right now.
Are you trying to say Juice Cryer?
Juice Cryer from Florida State. Two experienced guys. Rasheem Biles is obviously the top one there.
Yeah, you said two all-stars. I like Cryer. I knew him in high school. He'll thump you. I like that. I do think they need a little bit of a box player that'll come downhill. Now Rasheem will do it too, and so will Ty. Ty will hit you. Yeah, this one's still a little bit of a mystery to me. My thing is I don't worry about anything with Muschamp's involved in. Unless he was head coaching, I'd worry about the offense. But with him being the head coach of the defense, I'm not really worried about linebacker. He's got a plan. Just because I don't know it doesn't mean there isn't a plan. I trust his plan. I do think it's curious on its face that they let Barnes walk. I don't 100% get that. We'll have to figure out why that was, but I trust Muschamp. We'll see what happens. Biles and Ty Anthony. I don't see how they're not, if you have both those guys, I don't see how you don't play them both. And that's a rangy duo. They're more physical than their build will lead you to believe. That's going to be a lot of range, man. Coverage ability, playmaking ability. I think they still have some growing up to do, reading the flow of the game, run game, and all that. But that's why the next guy we're going to talk about on the D line, I think, helps them out too in that regard, makes their reads a little easier. So I love the get of Biles, man. I love it. I think Cryer's a good addition as well, but a little light on numbers. One of the things we probably need to talk about, we'll probably do another show, is some of their calculus on this class was betting on true freshmen. And so, Jermaine Bishop, we could have talked about at wide receiver because they are going to play him a lot. Derek Cooper's going to play a lot at running back, which means they might not take a third. And then Tyler Atkinson certainly figures into their plan at linebacker, which might be why they might have gone a number low on it. We'll see how it plays out.
I'm excited because I know, and I've been saying this for a while, Tyler Atkinson has day one field ready athleticism. He's got to become a day one field ready linebacker. And that may take some time, but it's something that he can definitely do. And when you've got Derek Johnson and Anthony Hill and Trey Moore kind of in your back pocket helping you out, and then Will Muschamp, I'm feeling pretty confident what he's going to be able to do on the 40 acres, even as soon as this year. Defensive line, I'm going to lump edge in there. No, they have not really made a big addition at edge quite yet. They've had their irons in the fire. They did get Zena Umeozulu back. Colin Simmons is obviously back. We'll see what they decide to do with I was texting you about him earlier. The Arkansas
Brad
Spence. We'll see what they do there. But we do know they made two literal big additions on the defensive line. That's Zion Williams. That's Ian Gaffard. And if they're going to do that 3-3 front with Will Muschamp's defense with the mint, they're going to need a big nose tackle. And those guys definitely help to replenish a role or replenish a part of the depth chart that wasn't really needed at Texas with Pete Kwiatkowski's defense.
Yeah, I mean they need big defensive ends, but you can get by with smaller D tackles too. Justice Terry or Lance Jackson, they're different players, but they can both play 4-eye. I'm not worried about it. They're special. They can do whatever they need done. Brad Spence, we probably should have talked about him at linebacker. We've been theorizing that maybe he's going to play Mike. When he first got to Texas, he played that position. Then they liked him better at off ball or at edge. But But, Colin there, they like Smith the Rogbo. Maybe they do plan on putting Spence there. That's there's going to be a lot of stuff for us to track during off season. That's one of the things we will. But yeah, Griffard was the big need. The bigger they are, the harder they are to find, at least as far as being able to move their feet and still being big. So that was a big get. He was a guy they identified pretty early that had he gone in the portal, they were going to go all in on, and they got him, 390 pounds. Now they just need to keep his plays around 30, which shouldn't be too hard because they got plenty of other talented defensive tackles to play. I said the secondary might be a strength of the team. The defensive line might be a strength of the team too, because Lance Jackson's poised for a breakout. Colin's absolutely special. Hero Canoe back, that's an NFL player. January is going to take another step. We're going to start to see more of Justice Terry. Josiah Sharma, I think, is going to play behind Griffard. Moran Charles, we've been hearing good things about him. So, I love the D-line. Maybe there's not that perfect 4-eye fit who's normally going to be like, 6'5", 280 or whatever. But, they've got plenty of options there.
That's going to be fun to track. We'll finish off with a handful of questions. Fastball right out of the gate. Is Sark done if the Horns finish without a national championship with Manning next season? I say, do you have $60 million on hand? But
you mean like, would he be fired or would he just go to the NFL? He can go to the NFL regardless of what happens if they win it or not. Who knows? I think Sark's clearly all in on this next season. Manning would be a good time if you wanted to go take on a new challenge. Losing Manning would be a good time to step out. We don't know that. Sark is obviously engaged right now, hell bent on fixing some things, except for maybe left guard. We have to see how that plays out. I don't know. I don't want to speculate on Sark. I just want to see him have a successful season and a bit of a bounce back, but I think, it's testament to what he's done so far at Texas that 10-3 was a disappointing season. But he's got the team. Who's going to go into next season as, as genuine national championship threats? It's going to be Oregon, Texas, Ohio State, maybe Notre Dame. Georgia is Texas's boogeyman right now, so you have to have them. But Texas is going to be squarely in it. I think they're going to exercise some of the demons from this past year. I think he learned a lot about what he can and can't get away with his team. I think he's going to be able to get back to some of his old preferences of 12 personnel, but also mixing and matching some of the spread passing game that worked this season. I think, Wingo running horizontally and getting free yards that way is a bit of a revelation. It's a cheat code. Any team that's soft on the perimeter is going to get screwed over pretty bad. Vanderbilt didn't really have a chance, and they got lucky that Wingo got hurt in that game. So I think he figured out a lot of things this year. It was a disappointing season, but next year he's all in, and we'll see what happens. If he wins it all, it wouldn't surprise me if he left for the NFL, because I think he is trying to check some boxes on the career arc. But we'll see. I'm just looking forward to covering it. Even the off season. The off season's fun for me to cover. It's fun to cover as the season is.
This one from Woodcrest. It feels like Texas needs one more linebacker out of the portal. I feel like the top of the depth chart is fine. They probably need some numbers though.
Well, I would agree with that. We talked about this earlier. They must be thinking that Brad Spence is going to play there. Or maybe they feel like they can get some sort of, I'm not talking bad about my boy Jed Bush on this channel, but maybe they can go find themselves sort of a Jed Bush guy that comes in and does some good work for them as a bargain player. But yeah, I would feel a little bit more comfortable if they added one. But, again, if it was PK and Nansen doing this, I would be a little terrified. But with Muschamp, I know how committed that guy is to coming out of the gates with a really good defense in his first season back as a D coordinator. I'm not worried about it. And like I said, they're going to play Tyler Atkinson a lot this year. He's going to play a lot. He'll probably play about as much as Anthony Hill played, at least off ball. Anthony Hill played a lot off edge. Obviously, they didn't have Colin Simmons when Anthony Hill got in the program. They've got Colin Simmons now, so they don't need to move around Atkinson quite as much, but they're going to play Atkinson a lot.
This one from A Cool. Are there irons in the fire for an established guard? Are they, 1, a new portal entrant, 2, Jordan Church, 3, Telek Lockett? We know Jordan Church has communicated with Texas. He was at Texas Tech yesterday. He's heard from a bunch of different schools. That's a Louisville offensive lineman. Telek Lockett, he's also communicated with Texas. He's got a lot of schools after him. We're just trying to track everything. We're tracking 1, 2, and 3 from this question.
Yeah, there's a situation at guard that I'd heard about that is similar to how the tackle played out, but it just hasn't played out. There's no guarantee that anything's ever going to go through. It's the portal. Everybody's trying to keep their talent from leaving, and that guy would be good and would be a loss for that team and be a big gain for Texas. So Yeah, hopefully it happens. But if it doesn't, I'm curious to see what they do. Yeah, like Joe said, they've talked to Church, they've talked to Lockett, they're watching some other situations as well. There's another one we're watching that might take a few days to play out. We'll see. I just refuse to believe that they're going to go into next season not addressing left guard when A, it was the biggest issue last year, and B, it's about the easiest position to upgrade through the portal.
This one from Timothy Wooten. What about Hicks? That's a zealous Hicks. He was a player who, again, he reclassified and was a year, early to his college career. Made the travel roster. I'm not sure how much that means in 2025, but he's a large player. Like that is the type of box safety that you look for at this level. But he's got to show that he has the athleticism to do things in coverage and identify. I think there's a lot of hope for him, especially with someone like Blake Gideon coming back. We know that he had an affinity for Blake Gideon back in his recruitment and back before he enrolled at Texas. I think there's high hopes, but I don't think there's anything to where you're like, oh, he's got to be on the field this year.
No, he's got to wait his turn. Development, just keep developing. Look at the guys ahead of him. Experience is a huge advantage. It's not, you can have guys that are more talented. Lance Jackson's more talented than Ethan Burke, but Ethan Burke balled out last year. He had a lot of experience. You can have more talented guys. They just have to wait their turn, but he's got a lot of talented guys and experience in front of him. So we'll just wait and see. I'll monitor practice reports a lot harder on Zealous this year because he might see the field, but they've got Xavier Filsamy, they got Jonah, they got Jordan Johnson-Rebel. One of those guys in the last class is really good. Teray Davis. We'll see what happens with him. Bring up Roaster, man, because that was the school that had been trying to get Christian Clark.
Yeah, Christian Clark, that commitment to South Carolina just popped, and he's not on the schedule next year, I don't think. But still, I think everything about Texas exports, I think basically Trey Owens, Neto Umeozulu, Aaron Butler, and Melvin Hills, those are the only group of 6 players who found group of 6 schools from leaving the roster. Everybody else has found a Power 5 or Power 4 school. And I think that speaks to not only Texas talent, but just the quality of player that Texas is letting go and the quality of player that Texas is bringing in as well.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. They're losing good players. I would have loved for Christian Clark to stay because I think he's got as much upside as the 2 guys they added. But as somebody that does like to watch South Carolina because of Lenoris and some of the other freaks they have on that team, watching Lenoris and Christian Clark next year on Saturday, waiting. Hopefully, do they play A&M? Hopefully, running up on A&M will be a delight. I wish Clark luck. I wish he would have stuck it out for one more season. He's got a lot of eligibility left, so that could look like a bad loss one day. But Texas upgraded overall at running back. That's what matters most.
2 more super chat from Quentin. Thank you. What's the word on Seton? I think with Siani coming in, Seton is just not a place, not something that they're looking at.
I quit tracking them. I don't know. It's not going to be Texas, and he's going to go get paid somewhere. What they say, he's not even taking visits.
No, he was at Mississippi State because the original offensive line coach at Colorado went to Mississippi State. That proves how all over the place this recruitment's probably going to be, especially for a DC kid who went to IMG.
I'm sorry. That one was on the gilded path to Texas. That one was actually going to go about as smoothly as Cam Coleman. They just decided to reroute.
Last one from the T-Box Texan. What about Prince Will from the Mainer Umielans? Ole Miss wants Prince Will.
You're doing about as bad on last names as Justin, man. This is what. Just don't even say it. Just say you. So they'll know who you're talking about.
4-eye Prince Will. This is probably a lot of Lane Kiffin shenanigans in addition to him trying to get a little bit more money from Ole Miss. If he does end up in the portal, Texas will probably pursue just because of the local angle, but I see this being a Lane Kiffin thing and a Lane Kiffin versus Ole Miss thing more than anything else right now. So
I'd rather divert that to the 10 5-stars they go after this next high school class because they're already pretty loaded at edge. But we do know that they wanted Jaden Woods, who stayed at Florida. They were very aggressive to get Jaden Woods. That one was so close. And then they went after Emmanuel Gregory until he asked for the tower, and then they told him to kindly go to K-State or wherever he ended up. So we know that they had some resolve to get an edge. I just don't really see the need. But I mean, if they bring in an edge and we're sitting over, you got Colin Simmons and all these other edges, and then we're sitting here talking about linebacker and guard, that would be bizarre. Just go get a guard, please. That's all I want.
It feels like if they need anything, it's a 4-eye guy for that mid front, but that's not a super pressing need for this.
Yeah, and he's a big kid, but he all of his snaps last year were lined up outside the tackle. Lance Jackson and Justice Terry are 4-eyes, and you're not going to find more talented guys. So that's just I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see the need. I know he had 9 sacks. You always want pass rushers. They've got pass rushers.
Yeah. They'll get it all taken care of. And we'll be talking about it over on Inside Texas. So make sure you go to InsideTexas.com. Use that first link in our description. Use that QR code at the top left of your screen. Scan that. That'll help you sign up. 50% off annual subscriptions. You get the best of Inside Texas, On3, and Rivals. All the best transfer portal intel. We can't wait to see everybody over there as we talk portal, as we talk a little bit of off-season. We got a junior day coming up tomorrow. That's going to be a lot of fun. Justin's got that list up over on Inside Texas right now. They're going to be checking out Texas versus Texas A&M in basketball. Whole lot of great stuff going on this weekend on the 40 acres, and we'll be covering it over on Inside Texas. So, Eric, thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Inside the Program, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors.